Coffee with the Editor is proudly brought to you by IRZ.
Roelf, as I was saying earlier, Gear Rail is made up of a number of partners. We've just engaged with yourself and Tom from Uniparts, and I know that you also have a partnership with ART, which is a Brazilian company, and it's lovely to meet you there.
Thanks. We've got ART and ourselves have been partners for almost 12 years, and I'd like to introduce you to Luiz Wormsbecker. He's the General Manager for Africa for ART.
So ART used to come, from Brazil, was part of ALL, now standalone. That's your partnership's been for more than 12 years.
Almost 12 years, yes.
What is your take and view on the African market?
Well, Africa for us is a very interesting market because it is very similar to what we find in South America, and for our systems it's very interesting because most of the railways here they need to improve their safety, they need to improve their productivity, and they have to do this with the accessible cost, right? And that's our proposition for the African market, is to improve safety and bring solutions that will really improve the productivity.
So let's talk about the key products that you offer to the African market.
Yes, we have a train control solution that is based on our STC, that stands for Safe Train Control. The STC is a solution that protects the railway and helps the controllers to give the authorities to the trains, control the trains, and it works together with our onboard technology. So all the authorities that are given to the drivers are sent to our onboard computer, and our onboard computer will assist the driver by limiting the speed according to the speed profile, and also helping the driver not to invade sections that are not authorized.
Roelf, you mentioned earlier that these solutions are quick to implement, and from an operation or operator's perspective, and certainly in Africa, that's like a number one tick win. Let's talk about the cost of the product in relation to other items on the market, and then what is actually quick? What defines quick?
So if you look at a base traditional signaling system to implement, can take up to 18 to 24 months before you can start operating. Because you have to establish communication along the line, you have to put on a lot of infrastructure down the line, and it takes a long time for you to be able to get anything going before you can start operating. With our solutions, because we use satellite or any means of communication that's available, GSM, satellite, radio, it's a very quick installation time. We install it on board on the locomotives itself. We install the control center, and the implementation time can be anything from 10 months to 1 year. It's fully operational, even shorter, depending on the size of the railway, of course.
And how do you deal with locomotives that are obviously in some parts of Africa really have seen the end of their lifespan? Retrofitting to meet the new signaling, the standard. I mean, old locomotives, you are implementing train control systems that obviously meet a different standard to what they did 50 years ago. How do you deal with that?
So fortunately, we're very grateful for the people that work for us, the engineers, and we've dealt with the most newest locomotives to the oldest locomotives. And all we do is we do a proper gap analysis on each locomotive. Our engineers will analyze what's the best options for us to retrofit it, and we have literally dealt with 40, 50-year-old locomotives where the electrical wiring is barely intact, and we've managed to install the system solutions, retrofit it in those locos successfully. And we also deal, so our solutions, what also makes it nice, it's modular and scalable. And that modularity and scalability can fit into any locomotive. So we can change the size of the screen, we can change the size of the communication modules. It gives us a lot of flexibility to retrofit in any locomotive. And we've done almost 3,500 locomotives installations. So
Wow.
it's quite a bit. We've got a good experience with understanding how to install different locomotives.
Sure. And then which would you say is the most dynamic African country in terms of where you're working at the moment?
Difficult to say just one country. I think what we are experiencing currently is Gabon is very vibrant at this point in time. Just with what we're dealing with Cetrac and the vision that they have for the railway. It's good to see that the progression that's happening there. Mozambique is really excellent. Which other countries do you?
Yeah. Well, basically we have been working with Gabon lately and with Cetrac. The team there is very eager to have the system running, but like Roelf mentioned, I think all our customers have been very, very positive with us and helped us on deploying the projects.
Yeah.
And dynamically, the dynamic of the market is very interesting. And I think from time to time we see one country that is speeding up and some other that is stopping a little bit, but we keep going with them because we know that this is part of infrastructure and it's necessary for each country.
So, whilst you look after the African market, you obviously have extensive experience internationally. How do you compare our two markets?
I would say that in Africa, I see waves of development because it's part of the world environment. So sometimes things are quite hot, sometimes are slowing down, but that's what we see everywhere in the world currently.
Yeah.
Sometimes a region is gonna heat up, but the other is gonna slow down. So we keep pushing, and Africa is big.
Yes.
So we always have something to do in the continent.
So interoperability between signaling systems or systems that they might have in place now and going through the implementation process, how do you overcome those challenges?
So fortunately, we've been dealing with SARA rail and a lot of the African rails, or SARA SADC related railways, where a lot of the countries have the same technology. For example, is Transnet and Mozambique, and they're looking at options to create interoperability between the countries. There's some tagging technology that's been used currently to track between South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, etc. So because we've got a standardized technology and our solutions have no geographic boundary in terms of implementation, it's very easy for us to increase the interoperability. So train drivers the trains can go through because we use either satellite or GSM. There's no restriction on stopping and going, and that base and standardized platform creates a great way for the railways to intercommunicate between them in terms of a centralized system.
From a cost perspective, I mean, I'm taking it the scalability then depicts what the cost is, but like entry level, is this affordable for an operator?
Yes, I think one thing that between the partnership between Art and Gear that we really understood from the beginning was that we are able to price our solutions for smaller railways to start off and then help them grow as they grow through in volume as well. And that's why that model has worked really well. So the scalability of the technology to modularize it and to incrementally improve it for those railways takes affordability off the table, and that helped them a lot to start off by getting the best train control systems in the world and start immediately moving those things. We also have our train controllers assisting them for up to 18 months, helping them, training the people, doing a fully assisted operations. And I think that's also something that made us quite unique in the approach we take with the client as well.